Okay, let's start with the module 1. So as we have already discussed, we will be having 5 modules, and one by one we would be going through each and every module, and we would be having quizzes at the end of each module. So guys, that would be the test of knowledge. After each module we will keep on checking how much we have learned. So let's start with the overview of operating systems. So if you are currently watching this video, you must be watching it on a computer, a tablet, or a smartphone. What all of this have in common? That is that all of them are actually computing devices. Basically, they are all computers. So all modern computers have an operating system or an OS loaded on them, which helps all the other applications to be run on that device. So that is the basic, definition of an operating system. That application which is there to interact between the hardware and the other softwares that you want to run on it. So let me ask you this question: that what kind of a device you are currently using? So you might be using a MacBook. You know, they have Mac operating system, which is developed by Apple, of course, or you might be using a Windows laptop or a desktop. So these could be from any brand like Dell, HP. So many of such computers come preloaded with Windows operating system. Other than this, if you are using a mobile phone, so you would either be using an iPhone or an Android phone. So everyone knows this, that all the iPhones, of course, the software of iPhones is made by Apple, so they would be running iOS. And any other phone, if you are using, most probably it must be having an Android operating system. Okay, so that was a little bit idea about some popular operating systems. Other than this, many people use Ubuntu or some other sorts of desktop operating systems that we will try to get into a little bit later. In mobiles also, if you have used some old phones like BlackBerry phones or some Windows phones which used to come the Nokia phones, or in earlier times we used to have Symbian phones. So those are some other uh, operating systems which used to exist. But currently, the most popular operating system in mobile phones are iPhones, which have iOS, and the other phones which have Android operating system on them. And in desktops, we clearly know that the most popular operating systems are Windows and Mac OS. Uh, Also, if you use any smart devices like smartwatches, they also have an operating system. So, like if you are wearing a Apple Watch, if it would be having Watch OS on it. So, similarly, any kind of a computer, if you are having, that would have some sort of an operating system onto it. So, let me ask a question to you: what is operating system and why do we need one? So you might not know the answer of this question right now, but we will try to figure out the answer in this module. So to explain all this, I would like to give you an overview using a diagram. So look at this diagram. Here we have computer hardware. This computer hardware, what it is actually. In the middle, you see the computer hardware. So this is basically the hardware which has a processor, some sort of a RAM, some sort of a storage. If you're not familiar with all these terms, basically it's the thing you can touch and feel, you know, like the mobile phone. You can touch in hand, so inside it we have put a lot of technology. So all of that thing is the computer hardware. Now, operating system is the software which is sitting on this hardware. Now, this software helps us navigate inside the device. Like if you open your smartphone, all these applications come. Uh, See, you can slide and you can see the time. All these things which you are doing are mostly done in the operating system. Now, if I open an application like the YouTube app, that is a application program which sits on the operating system. So YouTube is an application. uh, in short, we call the application as app. So this is the app which sits on the operating system, and most of the time we are working in an application or the app. So like YouTube, or it could be the camera app or some video playing app. So all these applications which we need to use, for them to open and to function, we need a layer, and that layer is known as the operating system. Okay, and you might be seeing in the diagram on the top we have this user. User is nobody but you yourself. So if you are using a smartphone, let's say, so generally when we have a smartphone, we make an ID. uh, like I am Ankush, so I will make an ID with the name of Ankush. So Ankush would be the user of the smartphone, and he would be using an application like the YouTube application, and that application would be run on the operating system, which would be lying on the computer hardware. So this is the basic overview of how operating system helps the user interact with application which are running on the computer hardware. So let's look at these definitions a little bit. So we would the computer hardware. These are the CPU, memory, input output devices which we connect with our computers. All of these things are hardware which we can feel and touch. Next is system and application programs. So what are system and application programs? These are like YouTube application or browser like Chrome. These are all applications which we run on our device. Next is operating system. It is the layer which helps the application run on the hardware. So this is what we need to understand.